Leonardo da Vinci has become somewhat of a legendary figure in history. An accomplished painter, inventor, engineer, and musician, he represents a true Renaissance man. He was intelligent, inventive, and curious. Many of Da Vinci's paintings and sketches are instantly recognizable, and thanks to popular culture, he remains an important and enigmatic figure today. But how much do you really know about this Renaissance polymath? Test your knowledge as we list 5 interesting facts about Leonardo da Vinci. Number 1. He didn't go to school. Despite being one of the world's most famous polymaths, Da Vinci never received a formal education. He was the son of an unmarried young peasant woman and a Florentine notary, and grew up on his father's estate, where he was treated as a legitimate child. As his father was a successful and educated man, Da Vinci received the standard rudimentary education of his day, including reading, writing, and basic arithmetic. However, he was not interested in pursuing any form of higher education in his youth. It wasn't until he was in his 30s that he developed a taste for advanced geometry, engineering, architecture, and Latin. At this point in his life, Da Vinci became increasingly intrigued by the world around him, teaching himself science and making a living as a court advisor and executive. He received his only real formal education as an apprentice to artist Andrea del Verrocchio. During this time, he studied painting and sculpture, which led him to pursue other avenues later. His pen and pencil drawings from this period include many technical sketches, proving he was interested in mechanics from an early age. Through his study of art, Da Vinci taught himself many things, including anatomy and the basics of engineering. Fascinated by the study of human anatomy, he personally dissected around 30 corpses to record how the human body functioned. At first, he simply wanted to understand the body's basic structure to improve the realism of his paintings, but his interest soon included the inner workings of the body. Da Vinci absorbed knowledge from all around him. He studied mechanics and architecture by observing builders and their cranes, questioned soldiers about their latest weapons and techniques, and studied how birds flew. He sought personal understanding and knowledge and used his observations to conceptualize new ideas and designs. Number 2. He didn't paint very much. Despite being best known as an artist, Da Vinci's painting output was actually quite small. Only around 20 surviving paintings can be definitively attributed to him, and several of these are unfinished, which seems strange, as Da Vinci obviously had a remarkable talent. The few pieces he completed are still hailed as masterpieces today. In one anecdote, a young Da Vinci was instructed by his mentor, Andrea del Verrocchio, to draw an angel. The sketch he produced was so beautiful that it caused del Verrocchio to retire from painting and focus purely on sculpture. Despite his renown as a painter, Da Vinci was notorious for being slow to finish commissions, if he finished them at all. Due to the small number of completed paintings Da Vinci left, his unfinished works have become famous in their own right. These include The Virgin and Child with St. Anne and St. Jerome. Augustine monks commissioned one piece called The Adoration of the Magi, which was due to be completed in 30 months. He created a scale draft of the piece over 7 feet tall, but was offered work as a residential artist in Milan and never completed the work. One of the proposed reasons for this limited artistic output was that Da Vinci had so many interests and ideas that he was very easily distracted. Another is that his perfectionism caused him to make unending changes, leaving his work incomplete. While he didn't produce many paintings, he created huge numbers of pen and pencil drawings. His notebooks were filled with sketches and diagrams, hinting at his desire to understand the world around him. Perhaps Da Vinci preferred sketching as it was quick, could be produced in the moment, and was essentially a snapshot, while paintings took more time to finish and perfect. Despite his few paintings, Da Vinci remains one of the most famous painters of the Renaissance, and his work is still admired and venerated today. Number 3. He never married. Although Da Vinci left hundreds of pages of writing, his works were almost exclusively academic. Little to nothing is known about Da Vinci's private life, except that he never married or had children. The only glimpse into his views on sexual love demonstrates that he felt that, as an intellectual, he was above such carnal desires. He writes, "The act of procreation and anything that has any relation to it is so disgusting that human beings would soon die out if there were no pretty faces and sensuous dispositions. He also stated that intellectual passion drives out sensuality. Whoso curbs not lustful desires puts himself on the level of beasts. Despite no evidence of any relationships, art historian Raymond Stites suggests that Da Vinci may have had a relationship with Cecilia Gallerani, whom he painted in his portrait The Lady with an Ermine. Conversely, many people believe that Da Vinci was homosexual. This idea comes from the fact that he was accused of sodomy in 1476. Although close and loving male relationships were perfectly acceptable during the Renaissance, sodomy was illegal, as, according to the Church, sex was purely for procreation and not for pleasure, so same-sex intercourse was seen as unnatural and against God. In April 1476, Da Vinci, along with 3 others, was accused of having sex with an apprentice goldsmith and prostitute, Jacopo Saltarelli. The accusation had come from an anonymous source and, as such, was dismissed by the court. But historian Elizabeth Abbott argues that the incident was so humiliating for the 24-year-old Da Vinci that, after that, he dedicated himself to a life of celibacy. Da Vinci's doodles certainly feature far more male private parts than female private parts. In one anatomical drawing of heterosexual intercourse, the male's head and torso are clearly defined next to the roughly sketched inner workings of the female, who is only loosely defined and without a head. Da Vinci also lived with a young man named Salai for over 30 years. Salai was particularly flamboyant and served as Da Vinci's muse despite Da Vinci's feeling the young man was rude and untrustworthy. While some speculate that this was a romantic relationship, Abbott feels that Da Vinci stuck to his celibacy vow and only indulged in fantasies. All this is not to say that Da Vinci had anything against women, and his work demonstrates that he respected them and enjoyed their company, but he seemed to have preferred them fully clothed. Number 4. His ideas had no influence on Renaissance scientific advancements. Today, we know Da Vinci for his ideas and inventions that would have been fantastically futuristic during his lifetime. However, these incredible designs, including a flying machine, a parachute, a self-propelled cart, a prototype helicopter, and a diving suit, were only the personal musings of Da Vinci and were not intended to be public. Da Vinci studied the human anatomy extensively, performing many autopsies. He was particularly fascinated by the brain, heart, and lungs. His anatomical drawings are some of the most significant from the Renaissance period, yet they were not published. Da Vinci only undertook anatomical studies due to his own curiosity and to improve his artwork. By having a greater understanding of the body's structure and workings, he produced more lifelike paintings and drawings. Leonardo was a renowned pacifist and feared that his inventions would be used for destruction, so he seems to have added fail-safes to some of his devices. He designed an armored car but drew the cranking system to render the vehicle immobile. Therefore, it is conceivable that he hid his inventions to prevent the designs from becoming militarized. He is quoted as saying, "How by means of a certain machine many people may stay some time under water. How and why I do not describe my method of remaining under water, and I do not publish nor divulge these by reason of the evil nature of men who would use them as a means of destruction." His secrecy could also have been due to the staunch religious fervor of the age. During Leonardo's lifetime, heresy was a serious charge. Perhaps Leonardo kept his ideas and inventions private because he feared he would be accused of questioning nature and God. As he had no formal education, scholars largely ignored his scientific studies. Da Vinci worked purely from observation, investigating and recording what he saw. His journals were written primarily in mirror script, which can only be read when looking in a mirror. Why he did this has puzzled historians for years, but it may be that, due to his left-handedness, writing this way meant he could write quickly without smudging the ink. Despite Da Vinci's artistic impact on the Renaissance, his scientific ideas were largely dismissed or unknown during his lifetime. After he died, he left many of his notebooks to his pupil Francesco Melzi, perhaps intending them to be published at a later date. A treatise on painting, a collection of Da Vinci's writings, was published 132 years after his death. Number 5. He was passionate about animal rights. Although Da Vinci hardly kept personal notes, he often made notes comparing humans to animals. He observed how animal senses are usually superior to those of humans and how they were capable of amazing feats, such as flight. He also mused that man has much power of discourse, which for the most part is vain and false. Animals have but little, but it is useful and true, and a small truth is better than a great lie. Biographer Giorgio Vasari wrote that Da Vinci was well known for buying caged birds at local markets, sold for food and pets, and setting them free. He also clearly enjoyed the company of animals, having grown up on a farm and later allowing them to roam his studio. Da Vinci questioned the mistreatment of animals and the perceived superiority of humans to animals. He made numerous sketches of lions, horses, birds, insects, and more, and held that humans were simply animals, vastly differing from the religious views at the time. Many historians argue that Da Vinci was a vegetarian, as he lamented that human stomachs are animal graveyards, and that our life is made by the death of others. Some cite the words of Andrea Corsali as evidence that Da Vinci forewent eating meat, as he wrote in a letter to Giuliano de' Medici that the Gujarati of India refused to eat anything with blood and would not allow harm to come to any animal, which Corsali stated was like our Leonardo da Vinci. Although this may have implied that Da Vinci was vegetarian, Corsali did not know Da Vinci personally, and it may have simply been a reference to his well-known kindness and affinity for living creatures. While it is true that Da Vinci advocated plant-based foods, implied by his promotion of a diet comprised of nature's semplici, or simples, whether or not he ever avoided eating meat is a subject of debate. He never spoke of not consuming meat, and concluded that animals eating each other was nature's way of balancing out populations. What do you think of our list? Do you know any interesting fact that we missed here? Let us know in the comments below. How would you like to get a deeper understanding of history, impress your friends, and predict the future more accurately based on past events? If this sounds like something you might be into, then check out the brand new Captivating History Book Club by clicking the first link in the description. To learn more about Leonardo da Vinci, check out our book, The Renaissance, a captivating guide to a remarkable period in European history, including stories of people such as Galileo Galilei, Michelangelo, Copernicus, Shakespeare, and Leonardo da Vinci. It's available as an ebook, paperback, and audiobook. If you found the video captivating, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this.